Heading into the new year, effective immediately, prior to this meeting, I informed about 10% of the company that they were terminated.
My name is Clint Rainey. I am a contributing writer for Fast Company, and I am here today with Christopher, and we are going to watch some footage of a video that was leaked to us. It is from an all-hands meeting that Better.com held on December 1st, follows a much more famous video where the CEO, Vishal Garg, laid off 900 employees without notice, and this is the meeting that began immediately after, 30 minutes later, where he spoke for the first time to the remaining 8,000 employees at the company, and he let them know essentially what he had just done with the 900 former coworkers of theirs.
Off about 10% of the company today. We did it for a number of reasons: to increase productivity, reduce headcount, performance management, and to right-size the business. In order to survive and eventually thrive, we have to change with the market.
The thing that jumps out when I watched that first 30 seconds is if he had kind of stayed right there in that spot that he was in, essentially breaking down why we had to do this, like it might have been fine.
It's not as if no one has sympathy for a CEO having to lay off nearly 1,000 employees at his company, but whatever amount of empathy he had at the start, the longer he talks, it seems to slowly dissipate.
We've continued to improve our technology and our processes. We've been able to identify through the technology those of you who haven't been as productive and those who are perhaps great but in the wrong roles or performing the wrong tasks. And we've tried to exit many of them from the company earlier today. To the extent possible, we've cut underperformers. But make no mistake about it, we did also eliminate redundant roles. We also did eliminate folks who might be strong performers but were just in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong task and weren't mission critical to taking the rocket ship forward.
The indication he gives there is that if you're still on this call, you are critical to our new mission, to our leaner, meaner versions of ourselves. But then, of course, like what we don't know, at least what these employees didn't know at the time, was they were going to lay off thousands more. So like a lot of people on this call ended up losing their jobs anyway. It was very frank that he said we're using this technology to figure out who's productive, but then he didn't really go into detail about how it's used. If I were a remaining employee, the first thing I'd want to know is how are they using this stuff on me?
Two things to put next to one another. Here are 250 underperforming employees, but that wasn't enough. We had to lay off another 700, and they just had the misfortune of being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Some of you might ask why, if we're firing 10% of the workforce, we're continuing to hire on campus, continuing to hire interns, continuing to hire various people to come into the company. It's because we expect those people to be super productive and to add value. And if they don't, we will exit them too.
This line of Garg's is one of the few that almost everybody remembers. You'll notice that Garg has a habit of going off script, and this is one of those moments where he seems to do that. I don't know what the script said beforehand, but my guess is that the part where he just suddenly goes, and we will exit them too, is him just throwing that out there to, just as a little warning or something to what's to come, I guess.
There's only one way to take that. If you're a new employee, if you're a current employee, if you're someone who's thinking about working at a place like this, it's a clear warning or even a threat. You might look at it as a threat, say you better be super productive or we'll exit you. I mean, there's no other way to take it. And that he would say it on a call with the entire, all hands staff. It's pretty remarkable.
We are going to be leaner, meaner, and hungrier going forward. We will not be spending time trying to raise capital. We will not be spending time focused on what investors think. We will be spending time grinding this business forward in what will likely be a bloodbath
So this is the other line that everybody remembers.
It just kind of shows a sort of lack of empathy again.
A word that gets used to describe Varg a lot of times is mercurial, and he does have sort of this sharp edge to the way that he talks that doesn't just sound robotic. I mean, he can be robotic too, but that line, bloodbath, he says with so much passion and emotion. You know, he really, you can tell that he feels that that is true. So he's capable of showing that kind of emotion when he wants to, and it never comes out when he's talking about his employees. It comes out when he's talking about how much money they stand to lose in the market moving forward.
He is, you know, someone who clearly almost sees himself as being ruthless, maybe necessarily so. You can see that in those two moments, because he's so animated by the thought of, you know, the bloodbath, and then also the exiting the employees when they're not being super productive. I mean, you can clearly see the parallel in his mind that he's drawing.
Are we going to make new mistakes? Yes. Mistakes, failure is the way we learn. Failure is the greatest teacher. Today we acknowledge that we overhired and hired the wrong people. And in doing that, we failed. I failed. Parts of this organization that have not been deadline-centric before will be extremely deadline-centric going forward. You will not be allowed to fail twice. You will be encouraged to fail once, but not allowed to fail twice. Not meeting deadlines will not be acceptable.
So this is probably the closest he comes to a mea culpa, but the admissions that he makes there are kind of wild, right?
Yeah, this was the most incredible moment in the whole video. Like, he here is saying, essentially, he didn't manage the company well, and that's why we're in this predicament. And he then kind of tells the employees they're not going to be allowed to fail in the same way that he did. Which I find incredible.
It's a warning wrapped in an irony because, you know, 3 months later, more than 3 times as many employees get laid off, and that one's not handled well either. Garg didn't do it through a Zoom call again, but you know, there's a serious amount of mismanagement that went into the way Better handled that run of layoffs, and then since then they've continued to kind of make blunder after blunder. So. If he was holding himself to that same standard of not being allowed to mess up twice, he unfortunately wouldn't still have a job, I don't think.